Thank you for joining Detroit Labs podcast. Really excited to have you here. How you doing today?
Oh, good, good. Nice
Good.
to see you. It's been a little while.
Yeah, a little while. Yeah, so we're kicking this off with you. I'm really excited to bring you here. So just a quick intro on Olga. She's our guest speaker. She's been in the restaurant industry for over 15 years now as a consultant, but previously worked for Pizza Hut, KFC, TGI Fridays, and now runs a boutique consulting firm, Restaurant Loyalty Specialist. And she served restaurant chains from over 200, from 20 to 800 locations. And we happened to meet in Puerto Rico earlier this year with through one of our mutual partners, Paytronix. So just honored to have Olga on to chat a little bit about restaurants and loyalty. And yeah,
Yeah,
Olga,
thank you for
did I
inviting
cover
me.
the intro?
Yes, you did. Yeah. So, and I'm feeling like that bio is getting a little old because it's actually closer to 20 years. Kind of aging
Yeah,
myself here. So it was a
let's
good
go.
15 years of corporate restaurant marketing work, and then another pushing towards 8 years in consulting. So, but I've been
Absolutely.
in the industry for a while now. So
Yeah, no, amazing. And as we alluded to, we met through Paytronix. And if you guys don't know me, my name is Nick. I'm from Detroit Labs. I'm one of the senior business development managers there. And for us here, we're just bringing Detroit Labs Bites, QSR focused conversation around tech, loyalty, anything that's going on in the industry. So we're really here to pick Olga's brain about loyalty specifically, and love to hear her thoughts on things. But Olga, to kick it off, maybe one or two icebreaker questions. If you could only eat at one restaurant, could be a quick serve restaurant, could be your finest fine dining, but if you could only eat at one place for the rest of your life, where would it be?
well,
Curious and why.
I'm based in Austin, Texas, and I think if I was staying in Austin, Texas, and had to be here, my favorite spot here is actually Jack Allen's Kitchen, and
Okay.
it's upscale casual. It's kind of like borderline between fine dining. Oh, not quite fine dining. It's upscale casual.
Yeah.
And it's a good combination of healthy and indulgent, and the food quality is amazing. And it's a small chain that does not have a loyalty program, as far as I know.
Okay. But you're working on that though. We're working on that loyalty program
We're all
slowly.
working on that, on getting, yeah. So, but that probably would be my personal destination in Austin. If you open it worldwide, that becomes not an icebreaker question. It becomes very serious and very
Yeah.
lengthy. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so what draws you back there over and over again? Is it like what's number 1 for you? Is it the food? Is it the experience or
Well, what draws me back is it's really the food quality and the variety of the menu, but it's the right kind of variety. It has enough items that I like and enough that my husband likes, and we have very different food tastes. And then there's enough for the kids too, so the whole family can go out. What does not allow me to go back there, it's just crazy busy. So it is, you have to plan, you have to put a reservation in, which is not all that much work, but it's very hard to go there and get there spontaneously and get in and out. So that's why I don't go there anywhere as much as I'd like to.
yeah.
And so it's a
You gotta
convenience. It's a moment of convenience. You know, it's gonna be at least an hour and a half, and you're probably gonna be waiting in line for like half an hour in the door, and the children gonna expire. Or sometimes
yeah.
adults will expire while waiting for that. So that's what's pulling me back. But they're doing fine. They're always busy, so they don't need
Yeah,
to
it's just
be
like
there
they
all
sound
day.
like they're doing well.
Yeah.
No, that's a really interesting take too, and like you made a point that, there's no loyalty experience to it there, but you're coming back. And so maybe to jump into it, one of the questions that we talked about a little bit was just a conversation around apps, wallets, mobile ordering, phone ordering. I would say overall kind of guest experience. Um, yeah, and how does the role of convenience play into engaging with that? And for you, you just said, hey, that your favorite restaurant doesn't have a loyalty program, but you're there all the time.
I'm not there
Um,
all the time. I'd like to be there
yeah,
more, but I'm there
yeah,
probably once a quarter, to be honest.
yeah.
And it's
Okay.
only a 15-minute drive from my house, so I don't go there anywhere as much as I would like to. And
Yeah.
convenience is a part of the reason I'm not there as much as I would like to.
Yeah. Very
Um,
interesting.
so
So how do you see kind of those different avenues of convenience, maybe even enhancing that experience for you? Because if you could get there more, you probably would. And then what's the gap in bringing you in more? I mean, is it a loyalty program or is it a more efficient reservation system?
It,
Curious your take on that.
yeah, it's well, no, well, again, I don't want to be picking on my favorite restaurant here as um
Yeah.
but it's
Hypothetically.
hypothetically, yes. Convenience is extremely important,
Mhm.
especially for people like myself when we're younger people probably as well. But when you're in the busy lives, you're raising kids, you have family, you have work responsibilities. Well, usually for both parents and their family. Um, Convenience and reliability are extremely important. Being able to get in and out on a schedule is extremely important, but also being able to, depending on the type of restaurant, can you get what you need fast enough with the right quality? It is absolutely mission critical. Other destinations, it is more of a destination, a little bit of planning. Uh, is if you can plan it, if you can plan it ahead of time, like you can do with Jack Allen's in particular.
Yeah.
If when I really want to go there, I'll just make a reservation and open table, and it's just fine. But it
Mhm.
requires a little bit of forethought. You made the reservation; it's a commitment. You can't really. At least even though it's a free reservation, I personally don't feel like if I made the reservation, I need to go. So I gotta agree with my husband that we're going, prepare the children that we're going. So there's
Mhm.
planning involved. You can't just drop it. You
Yeah.
technically you can, but I just don't feel like it's right.
Yeah.
Well, convenience is absolutely important, particularly
Yeah.
in the context of the QSR and fast
Mhm.
casual, more than even more so than the regular casual and upscale dining.
Yeah.
Because it's got to fit
Yeah,
in
it's
your everyday life. And like one thing that we as restaurant operators often forget about, we think that we are very important to people's lives, but we most of the time we're actually not. It's just one of the things somebody has to do 3 times a day, eat, and you have to fit into people's schedules and plans, and you have to do everything possible to fit into that as seamlessly as possible, and then they'll come more. So-
yeah. No, absolutely. What's been maybe surprising could be one angle, that you're learning on and helping and coaching people to be more convenient, yeah, from loyalty standpoint, from a digital standpoint. We're in a different age. Mobile has been around for, a long time now,
Mhm.
15, almost probably 20 years as well. I just find myself how I engage and like how I go for convenience, and trust is a big deal in that.
Yep.
What's been surprising recently from the conversations you've had with your customers and your clients?
I think what has been surprising is just like how, maybe not very surprising, but become more noticeable. How many things restaurants are juggling in terms of channels, like various ordering channels. You have the mobile, you have the web, you have web is on mobile, on desktop, third party, and it is very difficult to keep track of the quality of all of those experiences to the customer. Just because those platforms keep on changing all the time, and things shift within them, and they don't always notify you as a restaurant operator or restaurant marketer that things are changing. So so many times I've run when we do loyalty and ordering audits, we will discover things that the brand didn't know that that's how their flow looks in certain scenarios to their customers, and you just can't keep on chasing that continuously with your in-house people. They get burnt out. So discovering those holes and gaps in respectable brands, that's been quite surprising, but you see it all the time.
Yeah, very interesting. Because we've on the tech side of it, when we're building new mobile experiences or updating kind of older web experiences to for other clients, I find that visibility amongst the guest experience, and it could be loyalty, it could be ordering. It really can be any, like to your point, mobile web could look different than their
Mhm.
native applications. I'm finding that there are bigger gaps in tracking and analytics that I would have assumed for like the larger brands, the larger brands we talk to. But I don't know if your head spins a little bit when you get in those conversations. You're like, there's a lot of money on the table that could be missing. And it's not just money, because that revenue is one thing. And I think all brands want to maximize revenue, but then it's that guest experience
Yep.
is the other piece. And for us at Detroit Labs, when selfishly, when I go to the Jimmy John's app and, that's the tech that we worked on, we're very
Most.
proud of. I just can count on, there's my order. I can click it. I know it's going to show up at the right place at the right time. Um, how many times have I gone in there and not followed through on clicking through that, So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
curious how when you are you connecting the dots with brands yourselves on the guest
yeah,
experience and
yeah,
revenue piece?
we do, and it's like part of our loyalty baseline assessment audit. So we look at that, and interesting you say that, like when you go into the ad that you have worked on, and you can predictably and reliably trust that it's gonna do what it will do. Well, our testers usually don't use those brands reliably and predictably. So things that they start punching in those apps and websites are not exactly what somebody like you who built the app or was
Mhm.
building the app will do. And you discover like interesting things where people it's just basically UI, basic UI. Somebody who is not trained and is not following a predictable pattern every now and then will walk themselves into a pretzel in on something that everybody thought was perfectly easy to use. And that happens more often than not. And people get frustrated with that. And then they
Yeah.
don't go to the app anymore. Just the other day we had a situation where one of the former clients, we were looking at their app again, and that the password experience was working for some people and just was not. They could not reset the password. They just would not deploy an email to reset the password. But nobody on the team deals with that because their password is always correct and they can fix it on the platform. And then they wonder why the utilization is lower than they think it is. Well, probably
Yeah.
because half the people can't figure out how to reset their password because the password reset email is going into spam, and they never see it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Have you been in rooms where there's an aha between, "Oh, we didn't," I mean, you described that a little bit. We didn't know that was the flow or that was the blocker, and then, the team that you're working through, you're seeing, like, this is bouncing up in priority, and so it's, you know I always try to get there, genuinely and naturally when we're consulting clients through even the sales experience. It's like at the end of the day, we want to leave people with nuggets of information that will help them long term, even if they
Well,
don't choose us as a client right
yeah,
now. But that's one of the ones that sometimes I feel a little outside of my skis being able to consult on. But if you look at a company that has $1 billion in revenue and we don't know kind of the conversion
yeah.
percentage between each step in the process, I mean, it's not just pennies, we're talking big chunks of change,
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of the clients that we work with don't track it to that level, because setting up the analytics for every step of the way, it's not trivial. You do have to have a custom app. You do have to have the software to track it. You have to have
Mhm.
analysts that can make sure that it's set up correctly and on report properly. But at the end of the day, it's wonderful to have those metrics. But even if you don't have them, we know what a good experience looks like, and you can get there with a reasonable amount of UI testing, which is cheaper than analytics. Getting UI testing done is more affordable. You can still get to a good experience. You just won't be able to track it unless you have those tools. But
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit now I'm, like, really curious on your user experience testing. What, does that process handled internally? I know there's a lot of really fantastic agencies out there that will do that for you, but just curious, how you guys go
yeah,
about that.
we handle it in house, and I just have a team of folks that works on my team. And whenever we get a new client or we're testing something for pre-existing client, usually a new one, I just basically send a band of people that to order food just to order through those apps. I'll tell one person into one channel, another one into another. And then depending on which brand it is, and how extensive this is, I'll just recruit people that I just, call up and say like, "Hey, can you help me with that?" Because people like us who stare at those apps all the time, we push the buttons a little bit differently from people that do it once a quarter. So,
Mhm.
sometimes we'll actually send it to older users as well, the ones that are not as used to technology. So, get a couple grandmas in there to test and see what the grandmas do. Uh,
Absolutely.
because if you're trying to get the grandmas to use your app, you got to make it such that grandmas understand what's happening on their giant button
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
Mm,
We just went through an exercise where we were building an app for the age demographic was probably 8 or 9 to 14 and 15-year-olds to
no,
teach them financial literacy. And, yeah, to your point, even on that scale, it's like kids are brutal. They're like, I wanna customize the avatar, I wanna, have a fun game, and they're not thinking through it as an adult would, but knowing your audience and who's coming is to your point, like, you gotta test for that and make sure that they can do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and was older demographic. It's very different because you don't want any frustration. You want things labeled very easily, and you don't want to send people for loops because they are not particularly forgiving either. So
Hmm. Too good.
yeah.
Well, kind of along the lines here, Olga, of convenience that we're talking about, kind of knowing your audience, making sure the user experience, like you're understanding that journey. How do you consult with your clients on what to invest in or what to prioritize in the conversation around kind of apps, your wallet-based programs, web ordering, phone ordering, loyalty as a layer on top of all of those things? How do you typically help identify what's the thing to focus on today, and maybe not to leave all of them out, not to decide like, hey, we're only going to do this, loyalty really, really well, think take kind of zooming back and looking at the big picture. So yeah, just curious how you help prioritize that for your clients.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in personalization and just generally CRM, whether it's loyalty based or just email marketing or even SMS marketing based. So from everything we've done over the years, a level of personalization is makes a huge difference. It is easiest to accomplish it when you have a loyalty program which tracks transactions for individual guests, tracks their visit frequency, and all those spend and all of those wonderful things. So loyalty is one of the easiest spot to getting to personalization, but it's not the only one. You can track guest behavior through just online ordering. You can there are a lot of different ways to get there. Loyalty just seems to be the easiest. With our clients, what I always say is like you don't really have to do anything. Like you can have a restaurant that doesn't have email marketing. You can have a restaurant that doesn't have online ordering. You don't have to have an app. You have to have a kitchen with food. That's really and some customers out the door waiting for that food. But you don't need like you don't even need like a kitchen display system or you don't need all. The question is, can you scale? Can you grow? Can you scale? So when you get to a certain scale, you need to use marketing tools and loyalty and CRM is one of those relatively affordable marketing tools at scale that allows you to get people back in sooner and more often. And then when you think about the apps, wallets, mobile ordering, third party ordering, all of those are sales channels. They're communications channels and sales channels. And as a brand, you have to decide, are you going to do all of them or some of them? Or are you going to be really good at one or two? And then you're going to just abandon the others or kind of just do an acceptable but not phenomenal job on the others. So, and a lot of it depends on where you stand today. If you have a huge email marketing database, you probably want to focus on email marketing. If you already built up a high usage of your app, you probably want to improve your app before you go into building a wallet solution. If you're starting from scratch, depends on the demographic, depends on how complex your menu is. If your menu is simple, you can probably get away with mobile ordering and an app, like a wallet solution. If you have a complex menu, probably a good UI on an app is going to serve you well.
Mm.
So, so it really depends.
Yeah.
Ideally, you would do all of it, but it's expensive to do all of it because you gotta have people following all of it.
Yeah. And to your point, it's can the brand scale, and is it the time to scale into those well? What's your take on? I feel like there's a lot of people out there that they feel this desire to have all of the things kind of
Mhm.
at once. And I think that there's some solutions out there that are really affordable and also are really valuable for the level of investment that you get from it. But then others, are breeding poorer, mobile, I'm speaking from a mobile standpoint, lower scores, and it's harder to use and you can't do the things you need to do for the brand. At what point is it better to not have a channel out there and provide a bad
Mhm.
experience, and wait until you can build something that meets or exceeds guest expectations?
That's
Like,
that's a
and how you quantify that a little
That's
bit,
a
you
good
know?
question. Actually, I've never run into that question, but it's probably worthwhile exploring. So I've never answered that to a brand. The way that I would probably look at it, which again I haven't done, I would look at the drop off on the channel. So it's cart abandonment, it's sign up abandonment. So it's those user abandonment rates. And then, if at all possible, I would chase that. If the abandonment rate is high, and I don't know exactly what high means here, so I'd have to go
Mhm.
back and look and determine what that number is. But
Yeah.
if it meets the criteria of high, then the second thing I would do, I would go and look and see if we can figure out whether that customer is coming back through other channels. Do you lose them, or do they just transition to another channel? And if you just lose them completely, then you have to fix or remove the channel. And if they still just default to a different channel instead, then well, you have a little more flexibility there. But that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting point because I think in my mind, an abandoned cart means just an abandoned purchase completely, but that necessarily isn't always the case. They might call up, they may drive in person, so that's
And that's happened to me personally multiple times. I'm like, oh damn, this site is not working, or it's not loading, or I can't get the pizza half and half the way I want it. I'm just gonna drive up there and I'm just gonna order it right there because I promised my kids this particular brand of pizza tonight, and that's gonna be a meltdown if I don't get it. So I'm just gonna go and do it in person. So it doesn't
yeah.
always mean abandonment, and it may be that in the future I just default to that, to calling in the order, or to ordering through the Olo websites instead of the brand website. So
Mhm. No, absolutely. That's a really good point. What do you think, when we're talking about these different channels, what this, maybe the year of 2025, what have you seen that's been maybe the most impactful or I mean, I'm losing the word, not impactful, um, rollout of a solution that you've seen and helped be a part of, like, could be loyalty related. Just curious, like, what's been the biggest impact that you've seen to that space so far this year?
that's a tough one. A lot of interesting things have been happening. I don't think I
Yeah.
can pinpoint any of them to this specific year.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's okay.
yeah, things that have happened in the past few years that I think have been very impactful. The improvement in A/B testing for both offers and messaging, because it used to be pretty difficult to do in A/B testing, and now it's substantially simpler. Still not completely easy, but substantially easier.
Yeah.
If you put some effort in it. So that's one thing that I think makes a big difference in the impact of the loyalty programs. I also think that the number of transactions that we're seeing happening on credit cards is changing the trajectory a little bit, because you don't absolutely have self-identification of guests on loyalty programs. You can identify a lot of those guests through their credit card purchases. So you can get transaction level data on guests even if they're not a part of the loyalty program. You have to jump through some hoops and do some shenanigans, but you can get that information and you can play with that instead of making them self-identify. And I think that's
Yeah.
been pretty valuable. Well, and then
No.
obviously AI, machine learning, all of that stuff. It's like stirring the pot. I haven't seen the full output of that yet, but I have
Yeah.
no doubt that this is going to change uh, how we see the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I appreciate your transparency and answering that, even to the point of the shenanigans of what it takes to get the data that you need. There's a lot of solutions out there, and I've recently been saying this to our partners too, or anybody that comes to us. It's like it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
More than anything else. If I have a great network like someone like you, I can pull you into those conversations and vice versa. So guys, as we're transitioning and landing the plane here, I don't want to keep you forever. Is there anything that you want to share about restaurant loyalty specialists and what you guys do that you haven't done already? And then we'll close it out for this Detroit Labs bite.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
Restaurant loyalty specialist. So we do it's exactly what it sounds like. We help restaurant chains getting their loyalty programs up to par, from implementation to improvement, optimization. And we love working with clients, large or small. And I love talking to people that are in the loyalty and CRM space, whether restaurant or any adjacent hospitality. So please reach out, say hello on LinkedIn if you're listening to this and you're curious about anything that we've shared. And we're looking for opportunities to work with more innovative brands that want to push the limits on the restaurant loyalty. So if you have some interesting ideas, please call and we'll find a way to work together.
No, I love that, Olga. Thanks for plugging that. And I think a lot of what we talk about too, it's interesting of how much there's an overlap and alignment in values and what we're looking on how to solve client problems and challenges. They're just embedded in different spots and different places. So I'm curious what this could stoke within our networks in terms of what challenges that you're facing today that you need help from, and to our point of like we like working with great people and we like solving problems that make a lasting impact to the brands we're working with and the people that are experiencing them. So yeah, honored for your time today, and
Great,
thank
yeah.
you for a part two, after meeting in Puerto Rico earlier this year with our friends at Paytronix, and hopefully to see you again soon. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
yeah.
hopefully either at the next Paytronix event or another industry event, I'm sure we'll run into each other.
Yeah. Awesome, Olga. Thanks.